All right, YouTube, how y'all doing? It is your boy Jim, and made with Combat Esports Media.
And as always, it's your boy Darkside here.
And today we have the pleasure of speaking with newly crowned, four-time ESFL PlayStation champion, the GOAT1099. GOAT, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping in with me, man. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Let's get into the very first question, man. You know, I wanted to get right into the juicy stuff. So, leading up to your most recent fight with Nas, there was this wasn't, it just came to fruition. I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but this was all made through Twitter, if I'm not wrong. So do you want to just like walk through like how this fight came about?
Oh man, so my Twitter, I use Twitter to, engage with the people who support me and stuff. And I didn't know, coming on to Twitter that I was gonna become a part of the community on a bigger aspect. So a lot of times when I say things on Twitter, I just say things in general. It doesn't apply to anybody specifically, but it's just real thoughts, that go through my head. And I think that in the midst of me making, announcing one of my thoughts, this Nas player, he took offense to it, I guess, because, well, he he might have, put on the shoe and felt that it applied to him directly. And I believe that it was, back and forth going with him and Pry, or maybe it was just him and Pry was just ignoring the man. But I know he was calling out Marshall Mine, and it's funny because I saw that video a week before all of this really transpired. And so seeing all of that and seeing how he called out Marshall, saying, there's no way that you can beat me. I'm a top player, all this. I was like, oh man, you sound confident, and I've always had my checklist, with the type of player that I feel like motivates me, as far as this game goes. And he automatically drew my attention with that call out from Marshall Mine. And so when he took my tweet and applied it to himself, and he responded, I don't know exactly what he said, something about me being washed and a whole lot of stuff about the older players not being as good. And I'm listening to all this, I'm like, damn man, I'm 22, like I'm not even that old for real. Like how is he gonna be calling me, like he make me feel like I'm really old. But it's just funny, hearing all that. But yeah, man. I guess the Twitter was actually my tool uh to success in a way, if you could say that.
Yeah, I kind of want to build on what Jay was asking about that fight. We'll start. We won't go into the fight just yet. I'll let Jay come with that in the next question. But let's talk about the build up a little bit more. I saw, I keep up to date on the Twitter. I got lots of the top players that I follow and things like that, so I stay up in the news. I saw you and Romero were actually preparing. A lot of members of the Dark Camp were actually preparing with them, and obviously you're one of the top players in the community. So I'm pretty sure you spar a lot of top guys quite frequently. But what was like your preparation like leading up to this fight? Was there anything you did specifically, or were you just looking for like the top dogs you could find to play with? Like, what did you do to prepare for this fight?
Man, once that fight was announced, and I confirmed it with Luke. Shout out to Luke from ESFL. I made sure that I first thing I did was look at his previous fights, because I was aware, he took out some big names on his way to getting to the top of the ESFL league, and I wanted to see how he did it. So first fight that I watched was obviously the most recent one. That I remember, it was the Swiss fight, because that's when I believe Ed Veda and Ed Parker main evented, and I was seeing that Swiss was fighting a new up and coming undefeated fighter. So after the Twitter stuff happened and the fight was announced, I said, oh yeah, let's watch that fight. And I noticed off the bat that the man, he doesn't protect his legs. Swiss beat on his legs for the better part of 2 rounds. And, shout out to Swiss. He has a real wild style, but he ultimately gave me what I needed to be successful in that fight. And I believe that watching that fight and some of his previous fights, which actually I'm glad you bring that up because when the man was coming up, I watched his fight against Mullah, and he just came out flat out straight, fake glove touched the man, took him down, all types of stuff. And I don't know if a lot of people watch. When I'm studying a fighter for real, I watch all of their fights. So seeing how disrespectful he came out on his debut on the proving grounds, I said, okay, I know what type of player I'm dealing with for real. So just seeing, the amount of disrespect inside the octagon and outside, it kind of helped me to be a lot more motivated and staying composed. And obviously, sparring with Romero, it's just it's high level players, and a lot of people don't understand my mindset. So as I said in the press conference, man, every spar session, every time I put in work with somebody, it's a benefit for me and the player because I'm, trying to utilize my offense and find ways to neutralize my opponent and, vice versa. So it's always, a good when you're playing against top players. And yeah, those leg kicks, as you saw in the fight, they played a big role and for good reason. The power punchers, the guys that use these high level strikers, they're real good when they're pressuring you and they're in front of you. But when you get to kicking them legs and that power goes down, ooh, it's a whole nother story. Whole nother story.
And yeah, in preparation for this interview and a future breakdown of the fight, I watched the fight a few times, and in there, I did listen to the press conference, and the one thing I took away from it is that you said it was a style that you thought Nas wouldn't be able to handle. And that's real funny that you mentioned that once these power punchers, these fighters, these strikers, they start, you know, trying to defend those leg kicks and other things in your arsenal, they start to panic. And the minute it got to the ground, it seemed like he was kind of lost. Did you feel that way when once it hit the ground? Once it hit the ground, was it like automatic, like off of the first and now like, oh yeah, it's over? Did you like feel that?
Yeah, as soon as I got the knockdown and it was a small delay for me getting on top, I was kind of, irked about that because I was like, man, that's typical EA. But as soon as I got in that half guard, I said, yeah, he's not getting up this entire round. And I made that my mission. I know, people say all this, they just make up all types of excuses. When greatness is displayed, they just can't fathom it. So they go and make up all these things, talk about hood watching. Never even heard of that. But, that's neither here or there. I let them talk, and try to figure out whatever riddles is in their head. It was logical guessing. The man goes one direction, I deny. I was just smart enough to know that he was going to go the same direction. And as you said, Jay, I felt like after those denials, he definitely was probably panicking on his side. Uh, Times like that, I wish, you could hear your fighter, the player you're going against, because I just know after he had them two denials, his mental was gone, and I knew the fight wasn't gonna last much longer after that.
And I'm gonna go ahead and build off that too. Going into the fight, I noticed when I was watching because I was watching it. I watched it live because I was breaking down all the fights as the card was going on. I kind of noticed when he first started the match, he played like you could see his style and your style when the match first started. But as the match started going on, like Jay was mentioned, I think he started. You kind of made him play your game because now all of a sudden now he's attacking. He's trying to attack your legs, and you're trading leg kicks back and forth after he realized his legs starting to get chewed up. Now he's kicking your legs and things like that. Did you feel him kind of when from the start of the match to like towards like the midpoint before you got the knockdown? Did you feel him kind of like now he's kind of you're kind of like in his head now he's trying to play your game. Now you kind of got him where you want him. I already knew on the ground it'd probably be an advantage for you because as good as you are on the feet, you're also a demon on the ground too. So I didn't think he had a chance on the ground. I thought maybe if he had a chance, there's going to be a knockout on the feet. But once I saw that he started like basically trying to emulate you as he's playing you, I kind of figured that yeah, you probably you probably got to him.
Man, that press conference, I'm telling you, if you look back at everything I've said, it's kind of like poetry now because all of it was facts. It's just I understand that it's hard to believe everything that you hear from somebody, but I'm just at a different level in, you know, my competitive career right now, where like I said, I feel like I am the game truly. Um, you know, I play the AI sometimes, you know, when I'm just having fun. I feel like the AI is trying to figure me out more than I'm trying to figure the AI out. So, you know, when I say that, it's mental, you know. When we got in that fight, I knew he was gonna be confident in his style, you know, in his approach, as he should. The man never lost. That's why I said, you know, you don't know what it feels like to lose for real. You know, I same thing T Wood said to Darren Till, you know, and I remembered that. That stuck with me. And all I knew was once he realizes that he's no longer in control of this fight, it's not necessarily that I'm in control, but it's that it's about who makes the better adjustments. And as soon as the moment I knew I had him was mid first round, and it goes back to those leg kicks. He let me kick his leg enough, and I said, okay, if this man is gonna allow me to get this many leg kicks in the first round, his mind isn't gonna let him not think about that leg. So that just puts him at a instant disadvantage for 4 more rounds, man. And I knew I didn't need all 5, but you know, ping does play a factor, and that's another thing. You know, I don't know why people think that one player has an advantage over ping. If you're comfortable with ping, that's one thing, and that's why I take fights, you know, across the regions on rank. Sometimes, you know, it's just to get a feel. And that was another thing that I did in preparation. You know, was taking, you know, fights with higher ping just so I can kind of understand the movements that I won't, you know, and would be able to make in a fight like that. And yeah, man, when you're not able to just blast your offense at a fighter because you're scared of what they might throw back, that alone makes it, you know, a way more even playing field. And I feel like Nas was just so comfortable in his own offense that once he had to turn the defense, it was over.
That's man. But I want to ask you this last question in particular about, you know, that whole fight and build up. Something that he said in a press conference, you know, towards the end, you know, when I believe it was Luke that asked any if y'all had any last words. He basically said that if he was to lose to you, that he was gonna retire from comp. When you heard that, was you like, what? Huh? You that confident? Like that whole
Yeah,
that whole
man.
press conference in general, like just what the things he was saying, like what was going on in your head?
Jay, man, listening to him, it would sound like he was trying to convince himself instead of trying to convince me. I could hear it in his voice. You know, he was stuttering. He wasn't really talking clear, and it was like his resume was supposed to speak for him. When in all actuality, I already told him that undefeated streak meant nothing to me. Literally, that was just more motivation for me. I saw you lose on your stream. Other times, you know, this is this is what it means, you know, to be a top player. You have to take your losses and, you know, apply them. That's why I say it's always lessons, not losses. So when he said that he would retire if he lost to me because it would be that embarrassing, oh, you couldn't see me, but my eyebrows lit up because I knew. I said, "Oh man," I told him. I said, "You shouldn't put that much pressure on yourself, man. That's not good." It was already, you know, bad enough he was coming in undefeated against somebody with no prior fights in the league. But yeah, man. As far as I'm concerned, man, as I said, uh, hell of a competitor, and he had a great career. But on my radar, he is a retired fighter, and I won't accept anything else.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because we know he was talking a whole lot. He was talking a whole lot. But let me ask you this, since we pretty much wrapped up all the aspects of the fight. Let me ask you this because this is something I think, as far as like the impressive feats go in the UFC community, because we all know, we look at leaderboards, we know half the people, if not more, if not like 70%, are just a bunch of people who exploit the game one way or another, or you finding various ways to win when we know they're not on the up and up. But you are actually one of the rare people where, like, typically in this game, when I look at the leaderboards, I don't even check like top 10 or who's number one because I already know it's going to be one of the various cheesers who's cheesed their way to the top. But somehow, I don't know how, but somehow you are always up at the very top. And most of the times, you're number one, being a clean player. I don't know how you do it, but you do it. Just talk about how do you play that many games and able to win this many fights playing clean when most people say there's no way you can be that high on the leaderboards unless you're a cheeser. You're one of the rare guys out there who are a clean player, one of the best in the game, and you're always at the very top of the leaderboards.
Man, I think it's really all about influence for real. If all the top players, that's in the top 10, all have the same cheese style, then yeah, it's a lot more easier to kind of agree with that opinion that you have to be a cheesy player to get to the top 10. But that's just, man, I don't take that. That's more of a cop out because you can't apply what you feel like you should do in a fight. I look at these fights as real simulation. And I think that's what really separates me from other players. I watch, fights all the time, and I'm always looking at how players or fighters in real life, especially the champions, they overcome uh, tough competitors. And it's never, if you look at Usman fight, if you look at Adesanya fight, you never have their opponents just run up on them and just try to, throw their offense at them because they will get clipped. Like it's not a game for real, and that's my motto in the game. It's not I look at this like it's a real simulation. So no matter what you have in front of me, I'm morphed into that player that I'm using. If I'm using Usman, there's no way in hell I'm gonna let you just walk up on me and have your way with me. I'm gonna, unless you're really like that and you just put me to sleep. Hey, so be it. But this game doesn't allow you to do that. So I kind of have the advantage of being able to keep that simulation style, and I think that's what really brings the best out of this game. And that's why I try to showcase to all my supporters, and everybody that it don't that don't see this type of simulated play often. That yeah, man, if you know how to incorporate your offense and you have good defense, you can turn any fight into a realistic setting. And there's a lot of players that have great offense. They have a real simulated style, but they just don't understand how to defend those certain tactics, and that's where other players thrive off of. But man, once you crack down on what these dudes are really doing, it's kind of comical, and you can kind of pinpoint what type of tactics a cheap fighter is going to try to have in a fight. And for me, that's the fun thing. Once I identify who I'm going against, especially if I already know you're a cheeser, it usually never ends good for them because unlike most players, I don't get burnt out with beating cheesers. I actually take pleasure in it. It's very funny to me seeing them squirm, trying to do all types of things, to make this game unrealistic. And all I'm doing is saying, if you're gonna do that, man, I have ways of being able to defend that. You just gotta show me more. And that's why, I told Nas, like, I'm just gonna be too much for you, man, because you have to show me way too much, and it's already so much that you're gonna have to take from me offensively. And man, I take pride in having the style that I do. Obviously it's a video game, so you have fun, but for the most part, it's fun for me to play similar to how the fighter I'm using would in real life.
Yeah, and as great of a competitor you are, you're also a great content creator, and I just want to delve into that a
Thank you,
little
man.
bit. Oh no, no problem. And with your content so far, you've been like on a steady, pace of growth, with your YouTube and things like that. So how is it, you know, trying to, be this top competitor while also trying to almost teach your subscribers, have fun, trying to mix all those things into your content?
Man, I think it is like you said, it's just having fun at the end of the day. I tell people all the time, like, stop taking everything I say serious. Like, this is a video game. I don't say outrageous stuff, all the time, but I'm having fun. And a lot of the top players, we go back and forth, but it's all fun. I rarely take anything, serious. Unless you're just a weirdo that just likes to harass people in the messages and stuff like that. But when you in the game and you're trying to have fun when you're using a fighter. You want to be able to implement, like I said, your offense. So knowing that you're going to get somebody good that's going to throw offense back at you, that should already be accepted, and that's why I use my channel as a platform, just to show people like, man, yeah, I'm on ranked, I'm a top player, but rank really doesn't mean anything to me. I just happen to be up here all the time because I just have such a good style, that just translates into the video game. And I'm not trying to overdo anything. It's just, man, like, have fun. If you have, IQ, if you watch fights for real, just apply what you feel like, your knowledge is, and apply it to the game. I try to help out, so you guys can be able to deter all the cheese tactics. So when it's all said and done, it's really just about, man, who goes out there and just implements their style the best. So yeah, I appreciate you, man, because the channel, I've been getting a lot of support from all of you guys, and it really means a lot. But I'm just, like I said, man, I'm nobody for real. I'm just doing what I like to do, and I have a group of supporters, that are eager to see me elevate. And I feel like I would be wrong to not keep dropping heat on them. And for all the haters too, man, like, I'm not finna give up. Like, yeah, crazy. Like, I came this far, man. It's gonna keep going. And man, all that can happen is players can get better, because I'm not getting any worse, I'll tell you that.
And I'm actually glad Jay brought that up too about your content, because one of the things I was actually going to ask you too, which actually you just talked about. One of the things I like most about some of the content you make as well is a lot of people on sometimes when people make content, they don't want to they don't like making content about people who cheese and stuff like that, because they claim like you don't want to guess glorify the cheesers or give them like a platform or anything like that. But the way you do it is you like you mentioned earlier, you enjoy playing the cheesers because you like beating them down and you like breaking them down. How did you? Because a lot of people in this game struggle against plenty of the cheese that goes on, whether it's the knee elbow or if it's clinch spammers and things of that nature. How did you get so good at defeating that type of style, these multiple different styles of spammers and cheesers? How did you get so good at it? Because you're one of the best I've seen at being able to constantly take them out.
Man, it's like my mindset when I'm going against a cheeser, and let's just say I don't know you're a cheeser, and we get into a ranked fight. I instantly, size you up. I'm not trying to, go out there crazy. If our record is 0-0, that's, I look at that as, okay, we got a new challenger. Let's see what he's about. The second I see that you're a cheeser, or I can identify anything that you're trying to do that, exploits the game, then I'm like, okay, this is the part in the fight where you have to figure out how to neutralize this aspect. And I just look at it as, man, all the champions, have some type of crazy style that they always come across, in real life. So for this to be a video game, it has to be a counter for it. Even if it's not the most convenient counter, I'm gonna find that counter. And once I deter you from doing that, the fun is seeing how you react. Are you gonna actually try to play realistic and just get brutalized? Or are you going to keep trying to find different tactics? And through that, that's how I'm able to help other people, because I'm like, okay, well, he's went from this to doing that. And this is how you stop this. All while I'm just brutalizing a man and making fun of him. And so, that's why I do it, man. I embrace, the cheeses, because at the end of the day, they're comical to me. I go against killers. When I play, I spar people like Romero, Swiss, Advaita, who's, Advaita, man, he's a different type of annoying player. So, I can be pretty annoyed too. So it's funny when a cheeser thinks that they can just be, grimier than me. Like, bro, I can get grimy on this game for real. That's why I enjoy playing it the way I do, because I know if I could take advantage of you, most of these cheesers, man, they really don't. They quit out. They do all types of stuff. They are instantly submissive once I prove to them that what they're doing is just not gonna work. And the quicker that I can get other people to see that, and try to understand how to deter these players, I feel like these cheesers, they might end up being influenced to actually have some type of sense and realistic game plans. And that's just a better atmosphere for all of us, for real.
Yeah, and this last question I want to leave you off with. Earlier in the interview, we talked about how Nas mentioned, the old school versus the new school, and we've asked Cody Dink, and we've asked Crooks about that whole topic and debate, and some of the new school players take offense to what those old school players have to say. But now that the dust has settled with Nas and everything, is there like any words or like any advice you would give to like those new up and comers in the ESFL? Any type of blueprint that you want to give them?
Man, I actually I watched the card, and up until my fight, there's a couple players that actually caught my eye, and the man who used Dominic Cruz, I believe it's TPT Azurus Flame. That
Yeah.
man,
Oh yeah.
he got some real talent. And being that this is my first interview for real, I actually want to go on record saying that for my first defense, I feel like that would be a great new generation player that I'd like to defend my belt against. And test his Dominic out at bantamweight if he wants to do that. Because like I said, I'm all about trying to motivate people to get better, but new generation, old generation, uh, we all still players of the game. Like I said, it was funny, hearing people talk about me like I'm a 40-year-old man, that's playing the game. Like, nah, I had to ask him, like, bro, you're only 1 year younger than me. Like, why are you calling me old man, bro? Like, but I accept it. From a game aspect, it makes sense. I have been around for a long time, and it's great to see me be recognized, as such a prestigious figure, I guess. But yeah, man, I'm excited for the new generation fighters. It's just that they need to understand we actually innovated the styles that you guys are accustomed to now. So when you disrespect players just because you have, a good run and act like they can't come back and just do you dirty, like they know what you were doing, bro. Like they can identify your style because they had those same styles, and I feel like a lot of it had to do with players not being able to make their own unique style, and that's what I think, it should be about. Make your own style. Don't just try to see some player that's doing good and try to mimic what they're doing, because at the end of the day, you can never beat them. You don't know what their mindset is. You only know what your mindset is. And you can elevate your mindset to, reflect how you perform in the game. And I respect, all the competitors, all you guys for real, that support, this game and what, these high level players are doing, because man, I see we could take this to a whole nother level for real. And the more we weed out these cheesers, the easier it'll be, to show people just how simulated we can make this game look.
Yeah, and pretty much, man, that's pretty much gonna be the end of the interview, y'all. Again, it has been a pleasure talking to GOAT1099, and like he mentioned, this is his real first official interview, so for it to be on Combat Esports Media, man, it is a pleasure. Again, like everybody that we interviewed, their links will be down below in the description, man. My link and Darkside's link will be in the description as well, and also follow us on Twitter, man. Get updates on everything Combat Esports, man. That's why we call Combat Esports Media. Come on now, put on your thinking caps. But again, shout out to GOAT1099 again. GOAT, it has been a pleasure, man. Appreciate you.
Man, appreciate you guys for real, man.
Yes, sir. And has been Combat Esports Media, man, and we will see y'all next time.